I have been spending the last 30 minutes trying to get a good intro out of me, but I keep stuttering, I keep messing up my words, and then I wonder why I stopped doing this podcast overall, because I'm trying to do everything in one take when that's simply not possible for someone like me. But welcome back, guys, to my podcast. This is Mentally I'm Here, formerly known as Everything is Tragic with Hillary Starr. I'm your host, Hillary Starr, but it's no longer that. It's the name Everything is Tragic was supposed to be me turning negative things into something slightly positive, or like making it funny. But I have since changed the dynamic of this podcast, and I'll get more into that later. But first, I want to say, hey guys, I am so sorry that I have not been here talking to you and making episodes, because I have gotten messages. Like when I first announced that I was going to come back to my podcast, people have been telling me that they have been waiting for me to come back to the podcast. I was baffled. I was left speechless. I was gagged because I did not think that people were actually listening to I sometimes get very surprised that like people actually have an interest in what I have to say. It does continue to shock me on a daily basis, because I feel like the things that I say never make sense, which is why I changed the name to my podcast. So I'll just get into that, I guess. But I guess I can first tell you guys where I've been. I've been here, I was sitting in my living room months ago, and I was like, I really want to start up my podcast again. I missed it so much. I had so much fun when I was filming it and editing and posting it and making the little clips and, gaining a following through something like that. This feels a little more sustainable. And then I just like hit rock bottom last year. This was last episode that I posted was like around July. And then after that, I have just become, I've gotten in my own head, and then I was in a cloud. And then I found a therapist, and then I was diagnosed with ADHD and OCD. And then I was spiraling because of that. And then I've been on this journey of like self-exploration and like self-discovery and like figuring out who I am as a person. And I'm going to be 30 next year. And now I'm starting to become a little more comfortable with the fact that I'm going to be 30 next year. And I'm starting to accept a lot of things about my personality that before maybe I wasn't so accepting of, like the fact that I will never be able to be mysterious and serious. I will always be annoying as fuck and corny as shit. And that's just something that I have to accept, because I really tried to be that girl in middle school where I used to be like, I'm going to go to school very serious, and I hope everybody notices and picks me, because I wanted to be a pick me. And did anybody notice me when I would try to be serious and mysterious in middle school? No, because I ended up cracking jokes at the end of the day and being myself. And I was like, damn it, why do I have to be so true to myself? Oh God, it just sucked. I hated being so original. I wanted to be someone else so bad. But anyways, so where was I? Okay, so 2024 has been quite literally the worst. Forget 2020. This year as a whole has been the worst mentally, because I feel like I've been constantly trying to get out of a huge hole that I dug myself at the beach. Those guys, those guys that like dig really big holes in beaches, and then they're like yay deep, like 6 feet deep, and then they have a hard time getting out. Yeah, that's kind of me. And then you like kind of hold on to the sand and you try to climb out, but the sand just kind of caves in just a little bit. Yeah, that's been me trying to climb out of my fucking head and trying to climb out of the state that I have been. I've been in such a mode of paralysis, executive dysfunction, disassociation, depression, heavy anxiety, which I don't even want to get into. We can talk about it in another episode, but it's just too much. Sometimes I just don't want to talk about it, and about like how anxious I've been recently. It's so boring. It's like, talk about something else. So I am talking about something else, and I'm not going to talk about it until I feel like it. So I was dealing with all that. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I recently got diagnosed with ADHD and OCD. So I've been learning how to navigate through life, knowing that I have these disorders and learning how to deal with them, especially when I catch myself starting to get a little too ADHD, a little too OCD, where I'm like controlling things a lot and trying to control my thoughts in a way that seems so unhealthy. And then when I get like a new hyperfixation in the week, like playing The Sims until 7 in the morning, yeah, that's me right now. But I'm not playing until super late in the morning. And I just learned how to download mods on The Sims. It's a little disastrous on The Sims 3. And of course, I'm playing The Sims 3. I like The Sims 4, but not as much. So anyways, I guess what I wanted to also touch on is the name change. Why did I change my name? Because it used to be Everything is Tragic. Now it's Mentally I'm Here. And why is that? Well, the show, when I first introduced the podcast, the concept I had for it was I want to create a podcast and speak about topics that are traditionally very negative and very like tragic in life, you know, like anxiety and friendships and growing up Hispanic. Oh God, you know, and so turning them into something comedic or something semi lighthearted or just vulnerable where we can talk about things. But what I found that podcast was doing to me was putting me in a metaphorical box. I felt like I couldn't talk about anything else except the topic that I had chosen. So like if I had a topic about, you know, how my anxiety has become crippling to the point where I don't let myself leave the house. If I had that subject to talk about, I would sit down, I would film about it, but that's all I would talk about. And then I would get stuck filming it because I would be like, how am I going to talk about this for like an hour or so? Because that's also an issue with mine. I have so much to say, but the moment I press record on that camera, I immediately forget what I am talking about. The thoughts that come into my mind suddenly disappear and I have nothing to say. And then I'm just like, how do people film podcasts? I'm like, it seems so easy, but it's like actually really hard, especially when you want to do everything in one take and not stop recording. And I'm just like, I'm going to have to normalize taking breaks in between because I literally cannot continue talking. Like I have to stop eventually and gather my thoughts and make sure I'm not talking out of my ass or going off the rails and like getting back to the main point. So when I noticed that that kind of podcast was also deterring me away from wanting to continue filming because I was like, I don't know what else to talk about for like an hour plus. So I kind of just stopped it. And then I was like, I want to do a podcast where I can talk about literally anything that comes to my mind. It's like my ADHD coming alive and just like any thought that comes out, I can talk about it and it's totally fine. So that's why I named it Mentally I'm Here, because mentally I'm here, meaning in my head where many thoughts are coming all at once, or mentally I'm somewhere else. Like, you know, like if you know, you know, and if not, I don't know how to help you there. I don't know how to explain it better. But the point is, I changed it to Mentally I'm Here because it just suits me better. I feel like I have way more freedom when it comes to talking about things. I want to be able to go off topic and talk about other things because it makes more sense for me to be a little more chaotic with this podcast. Also, recognizing that I'm a solo podcaster, it makes it even harder because I don't have someone that I can bounce off of, you know, ideas and thoughts and respond to something that they say. It's just me. So I'm over here like, damn, it's really a one-woman show and I really I gotta deliver on the jokes and I gotta make it funny. And I'm like, if it's funny, it's funny. If it's not, it's not. So I'm learning how to just go with the flow with things. I had therapy today also. And we're talking a lot about control and controlling the things that we can control and trying to not control the things that we cannot control, because that is something I have a really hard time with. I just can't seem to get myself to let things be. I just can't seem to let myself just let things happen, because that's life. Life is all about unexpected twists and turns. But no, my mentality is I can control the unexpected twists and turns. Let me have them. I can take it. Oh, I have this twist and turn. I grab it, I manipulate it, throw it back because I got it. oh, there's another twist and turn. I got it, manipulate it, throw it back in. But then the ones that come at me where I somehow can't fix or I can't control, sorry, just hit the mic, I start to slightly lose it, and I start to lose my sense of being and self-control, and that's where I spiral like a hot slide in a playground on a hot summer's day. That's me, right? And so I've been learning how to deal with not being able to control everything, because if there's one thing I love to do, it's control. And no, it's just how I was raised, babes. That's just how I am. And you know, I'm one of those people that I don't like when other people drive. I prefer to drive because I trust myself. But yeah, in my world, I control everything. I can control everything, and I will do my best to be able to control everything. But I'm also very self-aware. So like when I'm not able to control something, I know not to push and like try to take over, because I know not to be that selfish, because I'm very self-aware. I may be a Leo, but I'm a humble Leo. So that's pretty much it. You know, that's where I've been here, you know, physically I've been here, but mentally I'm here. You see what I did there? That's why I had to change the name of the podcast, because it just suits me so much better. Mentally I'm here. It sounds psychotic, but you know, now is when I start to fight myself and try to figure out what else am I gonna fucking talk about, which is why I can't do this in one take. But I try really hard because I just want to be so good with my words. I want words to flow. I want to be articulate. I want to sound smart, but I also want to be funny at the same time. And I want to say the right things at the right time. I want the punchlines to hit, you know? God, it must be nice to be able to like just say things off the bat without having to really think about it. Just freestyle comedy, you know? I wish I was like that, but no, I have to take breaks. I have to like really think about what I'm going to say. Is it going to be funny? Is it going to sound stupid if I say it? You know what I mean? But either way, that's why I changed the name of this podcast. Mentally, I'm here, because 1 minute we're talking about one thing. Next thing you know, my mind is somewhere else. And we're going to talk about what's on my mind somewhere else. Because right now, my mind is on the fact that I look so red. My cheeks look so flushed because I did my makeup with the intention of looking like my beautiful 90s femme fatale, which is my, I would say current hyperfixation, but it is also like a semi-permanent one, because for a while now, I've been trying to figure out my aesthetic in regards to home, style, personality, and I'm like, the home decor and the style of my clothing doesn't really match my aesthetic. It doesn't match because, you know, at one point my house was like 90s shabby chic, and then it was like 80s postmodern, and then I was dressing kind of Y2K, like early 2000s, and it just wasn't correlating. And I don't know about you guys. I mean, my therapist told me this is me controlling everything. Once again, I like to control everything in my life, including aesthetics. And if my house is one aesthetic, my clothing has to be the same one. And so my problem was with my home being very 90s shabby chic. I was inspired by Gilmore Girls, you know, and like Friends and all these other shows that took place in like the late 90s, where their homes look very lived in, very cozy, comfortable, warm. I went through a phase where I was like, I want it to look like that. And then I was like, this doesn't suit me. Like it looks beautiful. I love it so much. But I feel like it doesn't feel like me. Like you come into the house and you're like, this isn't really Hillary. And then I'm like, what is Hillary? But then I quickly realized that I only liked looking at these things on TV, on Pinterest, especially because Pinterest really knows how to sell you a dream, okay? They really know how to sell you with all these beautiful pictures, and then you create a board, and then you're like, wow, my house can really look like this if I really wanted it to. But no, because you might like it on Pinterest. You might like it when you see people decorating their houses on TikTok, and you might like it when you see it on TV shows, but will you actually like it when you have it in your home? That's something that I have been asking myself a lot whenever I'm like, oh, I really want to start wearing bows and I really want to be very coquette and very like girly pop, but like, is that really my aesthetic? Is that really my style? Does that really suit me? And then I bought a few bows and I wore them once, and I was like, never allow me to wear bows. And I'm talking to you guys. If you ever see me with a bow on my head, rip it apart. I am of the opinion of you can wear whatever the hell you want. But when it comes to me, I know that I just don't look good in certain things. Like there's just like, I just know that I have a certain face shape, I have a certain body shape, I have a certain energy, a certain vibe. My neighbor's dog is barking again and I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm really gonna lose. Okay, it stopped. There's just like it has continued. Like, I think I'm just too aware of myself and I think I'm too critical of myself. I mean, at the end of the day, that's pretty much what it is. I am very, very critical of myself, and I allow myself to be very creative and like discover what I like, which is what my 20s have been. I have just gone through so many aesthetics since I was in like middle school, high school, that like I've really lost count. I mean, I went from wanting to be goth to wanting to be a hippie and wearing like some burlap sack and like these shoes that look like I cut it out of potato bags, and I used to wear them to school, and my mom used to always tell me to please stop wearing those things, and my dad being like, let her wear it, it's a phase. And my dad was right, because it was a phase, a very aggressive phase in which I wish, maybe I wish someone would have told me to stop, that would have been very much appreciated, but no one ever told me to stop. They just let me do whatever I want, which I guess I appreciate the creative freedom, but I guess now I can just look back at it as a good time. I remember when I pretended to be French. And that consisted of me wearing like button-up shirts and putting on sweaters on top, and telling people that I was part French because my aunt was born in France, which is a true story. And my dad's side of the family, he has 7 siblings, and some of them were born in France because my grandpa used to be a doctor in France back in the 60s, and some of my aunts and uncles were born in France. So because of that, I used to tell people that I was part French. But it's okay, because that only lasted a few weeks before I went back to dressing like one color. I had a purple shirt, purple skinny jeans, I had brown sneakers, but then I had purple earrings, purple necklace, because everybody had to walk around looking like Sharpie highlighters around school. But that was the style back then. Do you guys remember the belts, the studded belts, the Rockstar belts? Oh my god, I used to go crazy in Rue 21. What happened to Rue 21? Is Rue 21 out of business? Hold on. So Rue 21 has been purchased by YM Inc. They're the owners of Charlotte Russe and Urban Planet stores in the US and other retailers in Canada. Okay, so they're still doing their thing. Oh, and they have a website. No way. I just know that in this episode, there's going to be way too many cuts, but it's okay because it's the first episode of me coming back. Once I start getting in the groove of everything and the conversation starts flowing a little better, then I won't have to worry about cutting so much. But right now, I know there's going to be one too many jump cuts. They have denim for $14.99, sweatpants for $10, cargos for $16.99. I'm pretty sure I've seen this stuff on Shein, and I can almost guarantee you there is not a single authentic piece of fabric in this store. Everything is either polyester or some cotton blend, modal blend, that that really soft fabric that you feel that you're like, wow, this must be really good quality. It's not. If there's one thing I've been teaching myself a lot more, it's being a little more conscious when it comes to buying clothes, because if there's one thing this country has known how to do so well is invest in really shitty quality things, and clothes is one of them. And I will not be participating. But honestly, it's kind of sad to realize that in the future, thrifting is not going to be as unique. It's not going to be as, something where it's like, wow, you can find really unique things. I feel like 15, 20 years from now, thrifting is going to be like, oh, just seeing all the ugly ass Shein and like Abercrombie shit that you can find that like the quality is not... This fucking dog. I have realized that my aesthetic is based on a style that I know suits me, like colors. Like I look very good in warm colors, specifically like warm dark colors. So warm browns, greens. I look good in a red, and then with like lighter colors, like maybe like a light beige, like a creme, or like a off-white, and then like white. But then when it comes to like pinks, I don't know, it doesn't look good on me. Like I've worn a few pink shirts and like light blues and light greens, and I put it on and I'm just like, when you just feel like it doesn't look good on you, there's a chance that it doesn't, like, you know yourself more than anyone else. And if there's one thing I know that doesn't look good on me, It's some bright pastel motherfucking colors. So with that being said, my house has really changed throughout the years, and now it's in a point where I can finally say that this house looks like me. The style really suits me and what I like, and honestly, that's all I've ever wanted, because it's been 5 years and I've played with a lot of different styles. I went through a heavy wicker phase and beige phase, and I wanted to decorate my house very 1920s style, but if anything, it just looked like an estate sale from an old lady who died and she had no taste. And then I went through my minimalist phase, but then there was too much of an echo in my house. There wasn't enough furniture in the house, not enough life. The house looked very sad, because also, like, I wanted to decorate and not have anything on the surfaces. Like on my dresser, I would have like 2 things, but I didn't want anything else because minimalism. And then on my vanity, I would have like 1 thing because minimalism. And then like on my coffee table, I just had like a few books because minimalism. And then now I have so many books, I have so many flowers, and I have a little bowl with potpourri, and I have a candle. And in my room, I have all my skincare laid out. Actually, no, not all of it, just some skincare. I have a perfume. And what are we not doing? Minimalism. I am trying to embrace not maximalism, more like organized clutter, intentional clutter, spaces that look like they are lived in. And that's just what I've been wanting my house to look like for a while, because it just feels more cozy. It feels more homey. And that's like a style that I've been really liking. And it's like the one that's been going on for the longest. And I'm like, I think this is the one that I'm going to stick with. What else? So like I was saying before, it's fall time, baby. I've been drinking a lot of coffee, which would probably explain why I've been kind of bloated. Like, I've been drinking a lot of coffee. I make my own coffee here at home that just embodies me perfectly. It's my version of the iced brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso. I could definitely do with not adding too much sugar, but my hand gets a little heavy and I add a little bit too much. And then I drink it with my espresso, the Nespresso pod, Bianco Doppio to be exact, with some oat milk, and it has to be the Chobani extra creamy oat milk because it makes a difference, bitch. The milk makes a difference. I remember when I ran out of milk and I had to get some regular oat milk that I had, and it was not creamy whatsoever. And then when I poured it in my coffee, it was transparent, it was translucent, and it just did not look beautiful. It didn't look like what you see in like coffee shops when they give you your latte and you have to mix it yourself. You see the coffee on the bottom, the milk on the top, and you give it a nice little swirl, and you appreciate the colors. You appreciate seeing the liquids moving, dancing in this plastic cup. And then you take the moment to just take that first sip. Pure bliss. And then you go shopping, because that's also something that I've been loving doing in the fall. I mean, in general, this is like how I like to spend my time with myself. I love going shopping. Even if I'm not buying anything, I love going to a store and touching everything I can get my hands on. Everything. These grubby little hands. I love going to a Home Goods, a TJ Maxx, Ulta, Sephora. And like before, I used to like shopping with people. Like, I didn't mind going with people to stores. But ever since I've been going shopping alone for the past like 2 years now I'm like, when I go shopping, I need to go by myself, because it's a whole process. When I get dressed, when I get in my car, when I go to my local coffee shop and I get my little latte, and then I stop at Home Goods, I put my headphones in, I put my favorite podcast on, or I never put on music, actually. I put on a podcast or this YouTuber who plays The Sims, and I love him so much. His name is Ryan Plays The Sims, and I can listen to him and watch him play The Sims all fucking day. He's the only one that I can actually bear to watch because he's actually funny. And when it comes to gameplay with The Sims, and if I'm gonna watch someone play The Sims, they have to be really funny. They have to be funny, they have to be entertaining, and if it's not entertaining, I won't be able to pay attention. So with him, I'm actually able to pay attention and laugh along. So there I am in the stores, casually walking around, living my best life. And then after that, I might go into Ulta because I live in New York, for those that don't know. And there's a shopping center in Long Island that has an Ulta, a Sephora, a Trader Joe's, a Home Goods, an Old Navy, and then there's a Whole Foods across the street. And then down the road, bitch, there's a mall and there's a Target. Oh, you can spend like an entire doctor's salary in this area in one day. So that's like the perfect fall day for me. It's something I'm looking forward to. Speaking of which, my bestie is visiting me from Hawaii, and she's coming next Tuesday. She's staying for a whole week. Let me break down what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a whole bunch of rotting, but we're gonna be rotting in the sense of like wearing sweatpants and like going to Target. We're gonna go to Home Goods. We're gonna get some coffee from my favorite little coffee shop, Gray Cafe in Northern Boulevard in Queens. I see you. And then I want to take her to like this little town in upstate eventually. It's like a hour-and-a-half drive, either Sleepy Hollow or Cold Springs, New York. That's in upstate New York. And I was there actually on Sunday. I went on a hike for the first time in years. I worked out. That was a workout, bitch, because I have not gone to the gym in years. I have not worked out in years. But I went on that hike for about 2 hours and I came out conquering. Okay, I did so well. I was so proud of myself. Andrew was like, I'm so proud of you, babe. Like, you didn't stop once. I was out of breath several times, but I kept it pushing. I was like, you know what? If anything, I'm not surprised, because usually when I'm at home and I'm cleaning up and I'm exhausted and I just want to go to bed or I just want to sit down, I will push through my exhaustion and I'll keep doing laundry. I'll keep cleaning. I'll keep cooking. I'll keep filming. And I'm like, I just got to keep going. So I have built somewhat of a crazy amount of stamina and like just overall endurance. And I'm able to get stuff done that has to get done. I am noticing that the camera battery is actually dying. So I might actually just stop it here because I want to be able to edit this and post it, because you guys deserve an episode. It's been a while and it's a good start, I don't want to overwhelm myself with like talking too much. I want to get the flow of like making an episode, posting it, getting back into that grind, you know what I mean? But next week I will have another episode. I'll plan it out a little better, even though I will go off on my little tangents here and there. But that is the beauty of this podcast. I can talk about whatever I want and I can go on as many tangents as possible. And what am I going to talk about next week? I have no idea. I might have something planned, but I end up talking about something else, because that's the beauty of this podcast. So, with that being said, I really appreciate you guys being here, and I am very happy to be back. This feels very good. I know when I stop filming and I finish editing this and I post it, I'm going to feel so good and so proud of myself. Huge pat on the back, because I really thought that I would never come back to doing the podcast, but I did. So with that being said, thank you all for joining me on Mentally I'm Here with Hillary Starr. Please follow me on all social media platforms. I will have them somewhere and you guys will be able to see them. But if I don't have anything else to say, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for waiting, and I will see you guys next week. So long and stay beautiful.